Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Thank you so much. What nice weather we're having. I'm surprised that so many people decided to spend it indoors with us, but I'm so glad you're here. My name is Kyle. I'm one of your community organizers. Please raise your hand if this is your first time at 1 Million Cups. Excellent. Lots of new faces. Well, thank you so much for joining us. The basic format is this. We will have traditionally two entrepreneurs present about their business for about 6 minutes. We will then turn it over to questions from our expert panelists. We will then turn it over to questions from you. So please pay attention and get ready to ask those hard business questions. Unfortunately, one of our presenters came down with the flu last night, so we have one presenter, which is great because it will just allow us to dig even deeper into their story. I want to take a second to introduce our expert panelists. Grab that mic, your name, and what you do, please.
Hello. I'm Dan Kerr with Flyover Capital. We're a Kansas City-based technology investor. We invest in earlier stage companies around flyover country.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Cerise Hall. I own a company called Business Speaks. We do business consultancy with startups for Kansas City businesses.
Awesome. I want to give a special welcome. It's actually serendipitous that we have some extra time for networking today because we have some very exciting groups in the room. So we have a group of young students from Cody College. Thank you so much for coming up from Nevada. We have a group from Piper High School. Where are my Pipertonians? Is that the mascot? Oh, that makes sense. And then we also have a group with global ties coming in from Russia. Where are my new Russia friends? Oh, yes, I got corrected appropriately. From, say it again? Belarus. I will never make that mistake again. Well, thank you so much for joining us from Belarus. All right, without further ado, our first presenter is, no, but where, oh, there he is. Excellent. Our first presenter is with Resonate Pictures. Let's have a very warm welcome.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mark Havener. I am the founder of Resonate Pictures, and I'm so thankful you took the time to come out on this beautiful morning. It looks like we've made it through winter, hopefully, and listen to me share about my company. And I'm really excited to get your feedback and excited for the students in the audience, too, to have you guys present and get your feedback, too. So I want you to picture a training video you've watched, you know, whether it's in the fast food industry or maybe a safety training video, maybe a cringe-worthy sexual harassment training video. My guess is it didn't draw you in and make you wonder what's going to happen, like a lot of the films and television that you watch. The problem with most training videos is they don't contain the elements that give a story its power. Here at Resonate Pictures, we are revolutionizing the training video.
Like the time I got laid off, remember?
I remember you set up the tent in the living room with sheets and cushions.
Get some volume here.
This is like the time I got laid off, remember?
I remember you set up the tent in the living room with sheets and cushions to show we could survive.
You're Cameron Hill, right? From Memphis.
But Memphis was years ago. Hey, Rajiv.
Cameron, how's life?
Oh, Daddy.
family sticking together. More important than jobs and money.
Sorry to wreck your schedules, but this couldn't wait. Smith & Johnson is suing us.
Jeremy, I can't believe you're gonna see every UM.
They're not doing this to everyone.
I haven't done anything wrong. Why am I being targeted?
They're after you to get to your huge company.
Did you ever use this to jot down notes from business meetings?
Sometimes I wish I'd spent less time chasing promotions, more time going swimming with you. You still got it.
The accusations are as follows. Removing the product of a competitor. Prejudicial treatment of a third competitor. And my personal favorite, collusion.
I hate doing this. I really do. Ms. Hill, did Philip Morris train you to systematically break antitrust laws?
What? I'm not a criminal.
I'm gonna help you through this. Just remember record management training. Think twice about who you're talking to, who you email and text. It could all be used as evidence.
So you're gonna help me get through all this?
I'll do everything I can. But you gotta remember, Cameron, I represent the company.
That's a film we made for a company that had real and present risks and needed their employees to viscerally experience what it's like to go through something like that. Robert McKee, sometimes known as the guru of storytelling, he wrote the Bible of screenwriting called Story. He's got a quote in a new book called Storynomics, where he talks about the sort of the mechanics and how story sticks in the human brain and impacts actions, giving the audience, the viewer, an experience to draw from when they face a similar situation in the future. And it's not just philosophy. There is neuroscience in the past 7-8 years that's come out where they've put the brain in an MRI unit and put it on a story, and they've watched it light up the same way that it lights up when you're actually experiencing something, and sometimes even more. Like it's a more visceral experience when it's a well-told story. So that's what we do. We take a message and we use the best vehicle known to man to communicate that message. And whether it's policies, or ethics and compliance, or safety, that's our vehicle. And it's one of our training series of videos. We did an episodic series of videos that got talked about in Fast Company magazine. And the thing I like that they pointed out, Dan and Chip Heath, who also wrote the book Made to Stick, was that it had employees so ravenous to wonder what was going to happen next that they would tap into the staging server to find the next video before it was officially released. And that's a training video. My name's Mark Havener again, and I work with a screenwriter, Brian Belknap, screenwriting partner. We met in Los Angeles. I worked out there for 10 years in the film industry as a production assistant director on major motion pictures. And Brian worked with various studios and organizations as well on a screenwriting level. We tap into our network of collaborators based on the needs of the project. And our friends and colleagues that we connected with while living in Los Angeles have gone on to work on some major projects, winning multiple awards, including Oscar nominations, Emmys, Peabodys. And these are some of the clients that we've worked with over the past 10 years. And these are some of the projects that we've developed. Now, this is what brings me here today. As you can imagine, these projects are labor-intensive, difficult to scale. Now we're moving into a position of scalability by building a library, beginning to build a library of content that we can make once and sell many times. And we started by looking back into the projects that we've, that we've made to see if there's anything that's generic enough that we could reuse and relicense. We made a safety film for J.E. Dunn Construction, based here in Kansas City, and started getting inquiries from other random companies, hey, can we use this? Got enough of those inquiries that I went back to J.E. Dunn and said, can we try and relicense this to other companies? They said, sure. So we've begun packaging this up and selling it as a training video, a safety training video that taps into the core values of every single crew member and what motivates them to stay safe on a site. We're in the process of building up a website, a network, becoming the thought leaders of this training video industry, and we're developing content that's free to use that assists people in getting their feet wet with using story-driven training. We have a service called Movie Clip Mondays. Every Monday, we find a movie clip that's available for free online, and we connect it to an ethics and compliance issue. Usually it's ethics and compliance, sometimes it's safety or other topics, but typically it's, they're easier to find in the ethics and compliance range. We've written ebooks, how to use Hollywood movie clips in your compliance training, and we've also created one for the safety market. We're developing a storytelling course that's going to help you take an anecdote, an incident that's happened, and as you're going to communicate to your employees on the importance of avoiding this or how to avoid it or what not to do, structuring it in the classical narrative structure that makes your audience pay attention. And we are attending industry conference. This is the Ethics and Compliance conference in, ironically, Las Vegas last October, where we had a booth and we led a 3-hour workshop in front of 100+ executives from Fortune 1000 companies. We're starting to gain traction with earned media. Here's some of these are all in the ethics and compliance space. Podcasts, articles, white papers, the bottom one's from Ernst & Young where they mentioned us. And getting awards in all the industry awards that give awards to training videos. If you didn't know those exist, now you do. And we're making movie trailers.
Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. You have that room cleaned today by the time I get off work, and we'll work on that doghouse.
Deal.
I love you, buddy.
People don't think that accidents can happen to them, but they do out here.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on, hero. Let me help you.
Dear Gene, I found your drill. Sorry I couldn't get it to you because I was texting, wasn't paying attention where I was going, and I fell down a hole and died. Be safe. You gotta look out for the other guys on your crew.
Not easy being green, eh, rookie?
Earl's gonna ride you, but you follow his lead.
You do something stupid, you hurt somebody else, it's 1,000,000 times worse.
Be safe.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Close up deck. I got guys up on 5, putting in railings.
We really waiting?
Not for long. I live in the real world. This is the fastest way to do it.
What if it was faster to cut some corners?
That is the cleanest room I have ever seen. One of those corners will end up cutting you. Your most important responsibility is keeping your coworkers safe.
Where are you?
You're gonna have to buy the movie to find out what happens. So it's my belief that training films are due a disruption, and we're hoping to play a role in that. Thank you, guys.
We're going to open up Q&A to our expert panel first, and then if you have a question, Mike, please raise your hand and we'll come around with a mic.
Okay. Well, thank you. I mean, I'm like sweating watching those. And this is really amazing because this is a circumstance where I feel like I'm seeing not just an incremental step better, but like the 10 times better from the training videos I've seen in the past. But my first question would just be that when you're selling this, the training videos I've seen have been, I think a function of apathy. I mean, there's no passion into it at all. So when you're looking to sell this to an HR department, what are those conversations like? How do you get past, maybe their resistance to paying anything for a premium for maybe problems that aren't seen as clear and present? So just curious, what those conversations are like and how you really get them to get off the dime and buy something like this.
Yeah. So first off, the first 10 years, up till basically last year, the clients we've worked with have mainly found us and come to us, so we haven't had to have a lot of those conversations. But now we're in a position where we need to. I think the short answer of the question is, in this position, we can, with the licensable content, so custom projects, those are extremely expensive and a long process to sell in, and very few companies with the culture and desire to invest in something like that doesn't have an explicit return on investment. So it's a difficult sell, and unless they're already like lit up on it and coming to us, we've struggled with that. Hence the turn to now develop a library of content that we can license, and then from there explore, like price it at what the market's at, and explore from there how we can grow and maybe become a premium product. Does that answer your question?
I think so. So are you able to price basically, once you've created the content, you can basically price similar to what they're currently offering?
Right. And from what I've seen in the marketplace, the handle I have is safety. They have less of a budget. Ethics and compliance, they have bigger budgets. And I know that with other vendors out there are about where they're pricing. It's pretty significant.
Hi, Cerise again. To kind of piggyback off what he said, when you're talking about selling to HR departments, price and value, what kind of data are you collecting from the behavior change of the employees, which is the ultimate end user or the benefactor of it?
So the companies will track how many people completed the training, and completion rates go up 10 to 20%. But in terms of like, how do we predict, did it prevent an incident? I need some technology there.
I say a question about that. So, are you working through their existing infrastructure, their existing delivery platform, or have you explored partnerships to package this up in something new that's being sold to them?
Yeah, currently with the custom content, it's working with their existing platforms. The longer range goal is to build a platform, an online, where they can put it in a queue and push it out to employees through our server or connected into their server.
Technology, can the training be taken at home? Because a home-based targeting for working, especially for millennials, so that they can take the training at home as well?
Sure. The trick will be, what I find with most companies is they don't want another login. So the technology standpoint, it's going to be building it so it plays well with their server, with their intranet that they already have built.
We're going to turn it over to you guys for questions, so please get those hands up. I'll get us started. Can you tell us, with the custom videos that you've done, what your creative process looks like? How do you go figuring out what needs to be in the video and then adding on your narrative layer?
So the client will come to us with a need, a topic that they want to convey to their employees, And from there, we'll figure out what's the approach to make it resonate with the audience. So first thing we do is go talk to the audience. The construction film, we spent a day on a site talking to crew members. To a T, we found out every single crew member doesn't believe an accident can happen to them. They do think it will happen to someone else, which is why we structured this one as, if you don't think it's going to happen to you, protect your coworker. The antitrust one, we held focus groups, and we had meetings and deep meetings with their legal team. We held focus groups with employees who were completely off the record, where we could dig into stuff that we weren't gonna necessarily, like they could feel comfortable sharing stuff with us so that we could get into their hearts and minds rather than what the management believed that they believed.
Question on the left.
And then, well, let me just finish that. So then we develop our script based on that, and the script writing process is the most important process of any movie. If you don't have great words on the page, why pick up a camera? And that's probably what a lot of training videos do. They're less interested in the subtlety of great dialogue and more interested in just getting it out the door.
Okay. The question I have, or the comment that I have, is what you're talking about really hits home for me. I used to be in a career that involved going out and, in a lot of cases, after an industrial explosion happened in a plant or in a grain elevator here in the Midwest, and talk to people and kind of do some detective work to find out what happened and whether or not our technology of explosion suppression could have, maybe saved a life. And I was essentially chasing ambulances. And man, I got a lot of unhappy people, that I talked to that, wish they had done something, but didn't for one reason or another. But the company I was working for at the time, it's a very niche market, so there aren't very many other companies doing it, but it is a industry-wide problem. In fact, at the time, I sold a lot of this protection to Anheuser-Busch to protect all of their malt mills that create dust and an explosion hazard. So my question is, how could you approach, a training film or, something that resonates more emotion, that could hit people, a little more dramatically about this subject?
About your particular subject?
Yeah.
Well, what comes to mind is Hollywood's made that film already. Deepwater Horizon, and I'm sure you could go down the list. That's an oil, an underwater oil rig, but all the stuff that could have gone wrong and shoulda, woulda, and nobody thought it could have happened, and then it did.
Yeah.
And that's where our Movie Clip Mondays come in. If that topic exists and it's out there, figuring out a way to use it. Now, there's a rights issue that comes into play if the clip's not available on a studio-sanctioned website to be able to use. But so what you're saying is a perfect opportunity for us to come alongside a company and develop something specific to their needs. And what we find is, specificity is what creates universality. And so even though this particular situation is about an elevator beam installing, it still universally applies to safety in general. And the point is not how to install an elevator beam correctly and keep the hatches closed. The point is be safe. And that's what you walk away with. And so what we're looking to do is partner with companies who need that kind of message, develop the content, and explore the avenue of taking that content and getting it used elsewhere.
We worked very closely with the NFPA in Boston. Have you ever?
NFPA of Boston?
NFPA, National Fire Protection.
Oh, okay.
So have you ever done anything with them?
Question here in the center.
Hi.
Hi.
So your website says you're 10 years old.
Yes.
So the startup part of your business is really the creation of licensable content where the same content can play in many different businesses.
Exactly.
So are you starting afresh, building new content that can be universally applied? Or are you using old content that you have already created in the past 10 years of your life?
Both. But the goal is to create new content and continually and consistently create it year after year. But while we're doing that, we've also begun looking back in our library to explore what other content we can use to help fund that portion of it.
Now, I don't know how long you've been doing this, but can you talk about this new business you're creating? In other words, how long has it been around? How much have you created? And what specific success can you point to? Or maybe what aspirations do you have with this new business? In other words, how are you marketing? What's the pricing differential between licensable content and custom created content? Those kinds of things.
Yeah. So it's brand new, 2017, and we're just 4 months into 2018. So we are. So the first question is have we developed a library? No, not yet. That's the next step. And there's a couple of different avenues of going about doing that. Self-funding it, creating content that then we go and sell, or partnering with other companies who have subjects that we can collaborate with and then retailer that content for other companies. What kind of success have we had? I mean, we just started running Google ads. I mean, it's so new to build this library. We just started running Google ads on the training video last week. We just started running Facebook ads yesterday. We're focusing on that one now to explore, what is the market? How do I market this? I come from a creative background. And so, and this 10 years of work that I've been doing, it's all inward facing, meaning we do it for a client, they keep it internal, no one ever hears about it. So it hasn't spread. So it's all new ground for me. It's all new territory of how do I sell this? I don't have experience selling, and I have experience creating the content, and that's where a lot of my marketing efforts to this point is creating content that hopefully inbound markets.
Question in the center.
Hi, you've talked a lot about kind of how you're marketing now and how you're trying to get your videos out now, but can you tell me, because I would like to start a small producing company someday. So can you tell me kind of how you started 10 years ago making connections with the companies? Was it, you get one connection, then it's word of mouth, or did you run like the Facebook ads and the Google ads, or what was it like 10 years ago when you first started making those connections before people started coming to you?
So great question. 10 years ago, I moved from Los Angeles to Lawrence, Kansas. And within a couple of months, I get a phone call from the chief compliance officer of Bearing Point. at the time, an international consulting company, similar to Deloitte or Ernst & Young. And he was based in Lawrence, commuted to New York City, and he said, hey, Mark, I got your name from so-and-so, and I was wondering if you could make me some ethics and compliance training videos. And I said, you mean like sexual harassment training videos? He goes, yeah. And I go, and before I could hang up, he said, but in the style of the TV show The Office. And I go, well, that sounds interesting. And so we did it and knocked it out of the park. This was the series that Fast Company wrote about. It's 10 episodes, 3 to 4 minutes long. So from there, word started to spread, and that's what opened up. We presented at conferences. That's what opened up opportunities to work with other clients. Since then, I've kind of fallen into the trap of just a common problem in business is you get too reliant upon a few companies. And then people move and shift positions or retire, and then that dries up, and you need a new well to tap. So instead of, so right now, as a full, just one man, I'm exploring tapping into a market that's more scalable. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Question in the front.
Hi, so I wanted to know, how do you make sure that your target message reaches the audience? Because watching the first video, I didn't really get what the point was or the message was until sort of towards the end. So how do you make sure, guarantee that they're left with the message and not just a story that they're gonna put at the back of their mind?
That's a great question. And in thinking about my audience for this video, it's for leads that are already warm. So they already understand some of the subtleties of the language there. But you're exactly right. To custom tailor something to a completely cold prospect, we would need to get more explicit with what that's actually communicating. The point with here is somebody's already familiar with ethics and compliance training, and this is just to show them it's completely different than what they're used to.
Building off these last couple of questions, so right here in the center. So you were a creative person working in film. 10 years ago, you moved to Lawrence and you found this niche where you could use your creative abilities to help companies with their training videos. What has the last 10 years taught you about being a creative on demand?
It's a roller coaster ride. The pressure to perform, and with budgets that sound big on one side, but on a Hollywood side are minuscule. The roller coaster ride of getting a job, and then the gut-wrenching question of, am I going to deliver? Can you rephrase the question to?
Yeah. So your passion seems to be in movie making. And so now you have to harness that passion in order to make impactful videos for businesses. So you have to balance your creative side with their business side and find a happy medium that makes both of you happy.
Yeah.
What have you learned about treading that line?
Great. We're great at that. We have no pride, a little pride, but no, we're willing to, we push when we believe something needs to go a certain direction, but ultimately we're here to serve the customer. And so if we feel we've done our job in consulting and explaining our position, and they still say, no, we need to go this direction. So our scripts and films are not our babies. Our corporate scripts and films are not our babies. Ultimately it's got to work for the employer and the audience. However, there's one thing I've learned is and I'm sure you know this, people don't know what they want. They tell you one thing, but you have to read between the lines. And then when it's all these other dynamics of a compliance director in an office answering to their boss, where fear's involved of, am I doing the wrong thing? We made a training film, a sales training film for a company. And I was so proud of it. It was one of the first ones we did after this one. And it was, and we finished it, we delivered it, and she didn't use it for months. The whole time I'm thinking, this is it. You know, we're gonna get this done, floodgates are gonna open. That's the other story, floodgates never open. But she didn't use it. And I'm just like, what? Just use it. And she was afraid of using it. It was too different. And when she finally used it, I still have the voicemail. I'm so glad I didn't pick up the phone because she left me a voicemail to call me as she's driving home from the training session. She was on cloud 9. She said she got a standing ovation in her training class. It was kind of a faux documentary approach, and the employees thought they were watching real employees go through a sales process. So the lesson being, you know, that gentle navigation of, got a hunch here, your audience is really going to be impacted by this. What you're saying is you want this, but that's not going to get you there.
Another question here in the center.
On average, how much does like each film cost? Like, does the companies pay you first to create like a project like that, or do you like put in money first and then as you create it more and more, how you build it up, and then you sell them to companies and you market it to companies and you like sell it? Like, how did you decide what price point to set it at?
So we've worked with budgets between $25,000 and $250,000. And you know, it's the sales process of figuring out what they need and how do we provide the value with what they have. And then convincing them of, you know, more explosions are always better. And shooting in Hawaii, have you thought about that yet? But, and then, you know, your second question, again, to this point, you know, as we pivot, as we're in the, I mean, I'm telling you, we are on the, like, this is why I'm here, you know, to get your feedback. This is my vision. My vision is to build this content, like, you know, you pull up Netflix and you're scrolling through and you add stuff in your queue that's got the reputation of you're not going to be let down. We can just pull it up, put it in our queue, send it out to our employees. It's the brand that hits it home. Hits a home run every time. And to do that here in Kansas City, you know, we were just talking about the film production industry in Atlanta. It's huge now, bigger than Los Angeles. And maybe not bigger than Los Angeles, but comparable. And there's all kinds of filmmakers coming up in Kansas City. Why not like cut our teeth making these training films, assist them, help them, you know, become like a market for films here in Kansas City. You know, Robert Altman got his start in training films in Kansas City. So it's something in the water.
Question in the center.
Hello. First off, I'd like to say that I think that your idea is great. Coming from corporate America with years of repetitive training videos, year after year, I think this is a wonderful idea. So my question is, when you say that obviously you're the creative, but you're like, well, hey, I'm not big on sales. I just wonder if one of your approaches, or what I would think would be a great approach, is if you find the company here, and I have someone in mind, but if you found a company here in Kansas City, more so not so much about the company, but about the industry. And it'd be an industry that you know is totally nationwide, that's very needed. And so if you were able to maybe partner with the one big company here, and with some sort of agreement that then you could take it industry-wide to other industries that do that in different cities and make it easier. And so the reason I say that is because Kansas City Power and Light has one of to me, from my experience, their training department, when it comes to different areas, I think that you could accomplish different topics in the same one company, and then you could reuse those in other industries, and not so much just individual companies, but the industry itself, whereas like electric, you could take that to other cities by just finding the one good company to get behind you.
You're speaking my language. I love it. I think it's the kind of business that needs to scale fast. I just don't understand why it's not happened before now. It's happening a little bit in the United Kingdom. There's some amazing companies in the UK, multiple ones, producing compelling content. I'm still trying to find one in the US.
Question up front.
Yes.
So in one of your earlier examples, you talked about a client you had who sort of delayed her use of the video because it was sort of too different. So my question is, how do you sort of get around that hurdle of it being too different for like potential clients or clients that you have right now, and like they're guaranteeing that they're going to use the video?
Great question. It's an education problem, I think. You know, the Seth Godin's The Dip. I think there's a lot of learning and a lot of understanding what this product is. Right now it's foreign. It feels, oh, it's just entertainment, you know, or just too different than what we use. It's not safe. My boss might think I'm crazy for buying this. So it's a big hurdle, and you're exactly right. And so we're developing content that begins to try and educate people on, and there's science. I just barely touched the surface on the mechanics of story and why it works. Like, that's a whole nother topic we could go through and sit down, and when you're done with that, you're like, oh, I get it. But it's an education problem, and oh, I had another point, but I forgot. Go ahead.
Question on the left.
Hey, I want to expand upon what the young lady here in the center talked about. You know, watching the trailers, briefly, I saw J.E. Dunn kind of pop up in the corner. I'm sure in the full-length film, they might have a more prominent spot. But yeah, finding a way that they can take ownership of it and really help promote it with you, maybe even through a rev share deal where you're kind of using them as a marketing channel in the industry, as you said. And another thought I had was, is it possible to kind of white label? I know that's tough in film because you're recording and it's kind of stuck on film, but you know, there's all sorts of CGI stuff where, you know, maybe on the construction helmet it says J.E. Dunn, but in another version it says some other construction company. Is that a possibility in this realm?
Yeah, so if you're creative about how you place that, you wouldn't want to, for the training video budget, you wouldn't want to do it on a helmet that's moving around, but a sign in the background on a very specific shot. Or on the building or whatnot. So yeah, that's something that's totally doable. Your first point, I mean, I think it's genius, and I've had that thought before, but the idea that this could also double as branded content, now I don't know the market enough. It could be that this film is not sellable because of the J.E. Dunn branding. We've already sold it, so it's not like prevented some people from buying it. But this idea of maybe working with marketing and, you know, branded content's all the rage right now. And so, and you know, every company wants a movie that they can put out there and such a soft sell and gets passed around. And you know, something like this, done well and right, could get passed around from a branded standpoint and be used for training as well.
Question up front.
What is your long-term goal, like in the next 20 years? Where do you see your company going? And also, do you plan to work internationally? Like, there's other companies outside the U.S. that need safety or different topics to be touched on, so.
Yeah, so I'll answer that one first. Yeah, we plan on working internationally. We had a conversation with a company in Las Vegas. A common problem in ethics and compliance is the cultural translation. not just language translation, but cultural translation. So we pitched to them this idea of, well, let's shoot it in India, and let's use English subtitles, and make it like a foreign film, a foreign training film. So those kinds of approaches are super exciting to us. Long-term goal, I'm so passionate about telling stories and making films, and if we can create a business that allows you to do that, pays people to do it, fosters filmmakers to develop their skills in making films, and do it within this container of corporate films. It's a model that is more dependable than Hollywood, and then longer-ish term goal would be to lay the foundation now, build it, and partner with other companies that are just machines with the whole training aspect of it.
Question in the back.
You may have mentioned this, but have you thought of getting into training fields, or the training area for individual consumers? I'm thinking maybe in the medical sense, where there's some there's explosions of chronic diseases in some areas like diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and it's really important for them to know how to manage their diet and their life to be successful and living with the condition.
No, I've not thought of that. No, I'm sure there's all kinds of ways you can explore into. It's a kind of a problem of focus at this point. And since we've naturally just fell into a couple of different verticals, that's where I'm focusing now.
Second to last question. We're coming up on time here. I won't ask you to spoil your J.E. Dunn video, but can you assure me that the puppy is okay?
The puppy lives. The puppy lives. Yeah, great question.
And then our final question, what can we as a community do to help you?
So we've already hit on this. You guys probably recognize the guy on the left there. I'm not insinuating that I'm the Ron Howard of training videos. But the guy on the right is Brian Grazer. And years ago, they partnered up, and Brian and Ron is like the creative mastermind, and Brian's the machine. So I think as I reflect on sort of my last 10 years and what it's going to take to make this a reality, it's some strategic partnerships.
All right, well, thank you. Let's give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, it is time for Mug Club. Can you raise your hand if you have been here 10 or more times? Okay, put your hand down if you already have a mug. Kyle's coming around.
Awesome. Please tell us your name and why you come to 1 Million Cups.
My name's Luis Dominguez. I come just to get what's going on in the city and network with people.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I believe we have an announcement from Quest today.
Good morning. You guys are still asleep. Come on, we can do a lot better than that. Good morning. Good morning. So much better. Hi, my name is Quest from Project UK, also known as Project United Knowledge. We are a startup accelerator / incubator for the urban core and the greater Kansas City metro area that focuses on women and underestimated individuals. So right now we are looking for mentors to be a part of our network to help our entrepreneurs who have early stage ideas, who are looking to become permanent businesses and taxable businesses here in the greater Kansas City metro area, but they need your help and your knowledge and expertise that can help them move their businesses along and also accelerate the process and get them going. Our ultimate goal is to act as a bridge through the community to connect our entrepreneurs to other exciting, great organizations that have other resources, education resources, either if it's a UMKC program, if it's a fast track program, or going to Digital Sandbox or Launch KC. We just want to make sure our entrepreneurs can also go to those programs as well. So if you have any information, want to receive more information, please find me. I'll collect your business card and shoot you an email. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. So I see a lot of new faces today. Just to let you know, we are here every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Usually there are 2 presenters. Next week's presenters are Golf Swapper and Sprint Accelerator Cohort. So if you want to come next week, we'll be here at 9 a.m. Thanks for being here and have a great day.